Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to Stay True to You with your girl, Karishma. I am stoked about this week's episode. It is filled with so much truth, vulnerability, and it's just so real and raw, thanks to my special guest. And if you are finding yourself listening to or watching this podcast, that means you are ready to say yes to yourself. That means that you have a curiosity of what life would look like if you say yes to yourself. So join me and my special guest, Bianca Shah. She is a special client of mine and she is so near and dear my heart, who has also become a friend over time. And honestly, it's a true privilege to be able to witness what she's about to share with us in this podcast episode. She really goes into depth about the struggles that she went through, everything that she faced in life, and how she was able to really come out of it by saying yes to herself and leaning into her intuition. I intentionally brought her onto the podcast because, in the short period of time that we have worked together, she has honestly blossomed. She has grown so much and has had so many transformations. And I want to share this with you so that you realize that your breakthroughs are on the way. And if you are going through a hard time, if you feel like, you know what, life just feels like it's against me, this podcast episode is for you because you're going to feel so empowered after hearing everything Bianca has to share with us. So join me in welcoming her. Just to give you a sneak preview of who Bianca is, Bianca is a healthcare professional from Cleveland, Ohio. She began her self development journey in 2020 as a result of the experiences she had as a frontline worker during the pandemic. After a series of challenging personal events, she realized the life she had been living did not feel aligned to her core self. While the desire to become a better, more authentic version of herself was strong, Bianca had felt overwhelmed and stuck with not knowing where or how to start the process. In the fall of 2023, she was called to commit to her self healing journey after attending a masterclass with me, Karishma. She is now halfway through the program and is thankful to say she now has the tools to show up as her authentic self unapologetically. When Bianca is not taking care of patients, she is enjoying traveling and spending quality time with family and friends. Her hobbies include Pilates, dance, hiking, reading, and listening to podcasts. Her Instagram page will be linked in the show notes. So if you're feeling called to connect with her after listening to this very inspiring podcast episode, feel welcome to connect with her. Her doors are open. She would love to have soulful, wholesome conversations with you. And let's dive in right into the episode. Enjoy. Bianca, welcome. I'm so excited to have you on this podcast, especially because we have such a special relationship, and I'm excited for our listeners to get a taste of that today. So I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is so exciting. I've been looking forward to this for so long, and I can't wait to have the conversation we're about to have.
Yeah, and I love that you are one of our listeners for Stay True to You. So you really understand the message, and it means so much to me whenever you message me and you're like, oh, Karishma, like this really spoke to me, or I really like that. So I'm excited for you to experience being a guest on this podcast and sharing your perspectives and all the wealth of knowledge that you have. So let's get started.
Sounds good. I am truly fangirling right now because I am probably your number one fan of this podcast. I am so obsessed with it, so I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot. So before we dive into our conversation, let's get to know you a little bit better and get to know what your story is so our listeners can feel like they have a connection with you.
Sure. So, my name is Bianca. I'm a first generation South Asian American. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and I moved to Columbus for work a little over a year and a half ago. Um, and we'll get into this more, but that's really the main reason why I went on this journey. I went through a lot of period of transition, and this journey kind of just unfolded naturally from there. Um, so for my professional life, I work in healthcare. I do anesthesia. When I'm not practicing anesthesia, I love to learn and try new things, whether it's working on my self-development or trying a new workout class. I've just been in this phase of learning and exploring, and it's been so expansive and fun. I'm really just enjoying this place that I'm in right now. And yeah, so some of the other things I enjoy doing, Pilates, recently started doing belly dance with one of my friends, traveling, trying new foods, and spending time with friends and family. And that's
Nice.
pretty much a summary of me.
Nice. It feels so wholesome getting to know you because obviously I know you personally, but just hearing your story and everything that you show up to from being so committed to your work with anesthesia and then to also making space for your loved ones and things like Pilates and belly dance. I mean, it feels like a very full life.
It does. It's been, and for our listeners to know, my life was not like this probably 3 years ago.
Mm.
It was very different. And so it's just been an amazing journey to be here. And yeah, I'm just very grateful. Life has been very fulfilling and gratifying right now. And it's really amazing. I can't complain.
Yeah. And it's so awesome, right? You have so much going for you. And given what you are showing up to, you still considered to explore life coaching with me. And
Correct.
what our listeners probably don't know yet is that you are one of my clients, and we've been working together for almost 3 months now. I think a little bit over 3 months. And
Mhm.
we're halfway through our journey together, and it's been beautiful. It's like just unfolded so naturally. And I love how I didn't know you before, like you came to one of my master classes through a common, well, someone that I met on social media and who happens to be one of your close friends. And you just joined along, came to the master class. We got into conversation afterwards, and now we are doing coaching together. So I'd love to, get to know for our listeners, especially, why you gave spiritual life coaching a chance and what you were going through that made you take a leap of faith.
Yes. Also, yes, to expand on that, it's only been about 3 to 4 months that I've known Karishma, which is just crazy to think because now I can't imagine my life without you.
Oh.
So that's just been amazing. But yeah, so to give the listeners a little bit of a background onto how I entered this journey, my self-development journey really goes back to probably like 4 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, COVID was a challenging time for all of us. And for me, especially, I was a frontline worker in the heat of the pandemic. And that really changed not only the way that I live my life, but it really changed everything about life in general. Obviously, everyone can kind of relate to that. So for me professionally, my world kind of spun upside down. I was really isolated during that time and really just focused on my work and taking care of patients, which
Mhm.
was very fulfilling. It brought me a lot of meaning to my everyday life. It also was just an interesting time because it affected my relationships, with my family and friends, especially because it was hard to really explain what I was going through when I was so isolated in a job that was so specific. Um, and it was just hard to communicate. So, what kind of put me in this cycle of self development at the time was when everything really slowed down with the lockdown, I really had to analyze my life and figure out what was important to me and what was not important to me. Really analyze my relationships with people because there were a lot of relationships that weren't serving me and relationships that I felt I really needed to improve upon, not
Mhm.
just for my own self peace, but just to grow as a person. And it was the perfect timing to really look at all of that happening in my life and choose how to move forward.
Mhm.
And so it was a big period of transition, and it was just the beginning of what was going to be my self development journey. Um, Roughly about 2 years later, I went through a big period of transition with a
Mhm.
very close personal relationship and as well as with my job.
Mhm.
And that really changed my relationship with myself, for better or for worse. We'll find out.
Mhm.
But it really put me on a path of, um, I wouldn't say like self destruction, but like as I've learned now, it was really the voice of my ego that took over.
Mm.
And so to just kind of explain, I think in general, we have two relationships in our lives. One with ourselves that really is the big voice in your head 24/7 that you're with all the time. And
Mhm.
then the other one is the loving relationships you have with the people around you.
Mhm.
And the person that you spend the most time with and talk to the most is the person in your head, yourself.
Mhm.
So I feel like, at least for me, I really got stuck in my head during this time. It was really hard for me to express what I was going through and process it. And especially during the pandemic, my physical body just was in a constant state of fight or flight. And
Mhm.
so when you're in that state, you don't realize it, but it's really hard to get out of your head because you're just focused on, like, what do I need to do to get through this time period right now? Like, how do I get through this?
Mhm.
So your body just kind of goes in this cycle of repetition of just like trying to figure out what your next steps are without really knowing what those steps are going to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so during this time, a lot of the conversations I was having with myself were just really negative. And it was really because when you're working in healthcare, and I think a lot of people in general will just be able to relate to this, whether you work in healthcare or not. Um, for many people, as you move through your day, I think, especially in healthcare, our focus is to take care of patients without ever making a mistake.
Mhm.
And that can be really self destructive because you think like anything I do could negatively affect a patient if I make a mistake. And so you start setting these standards that really end up being perfection, or trying to work towards perfection in your field. And so then every time you make a mistake, it almost feels like failure. And that kind of trickles down to other aspects of your life, with relationships, with your profession, with, just everything. And so how I ended up on this journey of coaching was, one of my close friends had invited me to join your masterclass.
Mhm.
And it was a masterclass where we really dove into intuition and ego.
Mhm.
And it was really during your masterclass that I realized in that time the dialogue I was having with myself in my head was really my ego.
Mm.
And that was just the introduction to what everything was that was happening in my life. Um, that little voice inside my head that was evaluating everything, judging everything, criticizing, demeaning, finding fault with everything I was doing was the ego and not my true intuition.
Mm.
And when I was stuck in that space, it was really hard to understand that.
Mhm.
And so when I went to your master class, that really clicked for me that, okay, this is something that I can identify and I can work on and try to strengthen this relationship I have with my true intuition. And so we got on a call together, and I took that leap of faith after we talked that this was a journey I was going to commit myself to and see what happens. And here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing so openly. interesting, right? That in a matter of 4 years, so much unfolded for you once you said yes to your relationship with yourself. And you said it so beautifully that yes, the relationship that comes first and the one that's going to be with us for the rest of our lives is the one that we have with ourselves. And
Mhm.
many times we don't even think about that. We didn't go to school learning that, hey, learn to take care of the relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of us need to bring our focus and attention to. And you covered a lot when you mentioned that you went through certain experiences when it comes to your career, personal relationships, and how things unfolded, perfectionism, right? And these are all relatable things because a lot of us are going through our ups and downs with so many things. And to be able to have a safe space to turn to and explore, well, how can I support myself? And bringing that awareness to the forefront and saying, okay, maybe I've been listening to my ego all this time and didn't even know it. And when you can have
Yes.
that distinction, your world opens up.
It totally opens up, and it changed everything for me to be able to have a safe space to really explore what was going on with myself and in my head. And it's forever going to change the rest of my life to have a lot of these tools that we've been working on. And it already has, and it's only been about 3 months or so.
Yay. That makes me so happy. That just lights me up and makes all of this so worth it.
Yes, I can't wait. I mean, it makes me sad we're only halfway through, but yeah, I can't wait to see how this journey continues to unfold as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you took a leap of faith, right? But that can feel scary to try something that you may have heard of. Like people have heard of life coaching, but what actually is that? And, it's innocent, but I've had many people tell me, oh, is that the same thing as therapy? Or are you a counselor? And I'm like, no, 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 it's very different. So for our listeners that are new to the world of life coaching, can you share what it's been like to receive life coaching?
Sure, absolutely. So, yes, to make that distinction, for me, what has been the best part about life coaching, besides having a safe space to really explore different things I want to work on, is just having someone there who understands you and can motivate you towards your goals.
Mm,
You have been so amazing in keeping me accountable and being so patient because I think when you go on this journey, it can be really difficult to be patient with yourself as you're learning new things, trying new things, figuring out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And to have a space that's supportive and has a toolkit that you can practice, as well as somebody that keeps you accountable to motivate you to continue trying these things to improve your life, really makes a huge difference. And I want to thank you for that, for not only giving me those tools, but just reminding me that this is going to be a lifelong journey. This is just the beginning,
mm,
and for allowing me to, you know, giving me that space to say, like, it's okay when you make mistakes, be patient with yourself, and continuing to motivate me as I work towards my goals. So
yeah.
that's been really the most amazing thing. And on top of that, you're so supportive and towards everything. So that also really helps. But yeah, it's very different than like therapy or counseling in the sense that we work together and we co-regulate to continue to achieve certain things that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's very helpful to hear from your lens because you just gave life coaching a try a matter of 3 months ago.
Hmm.
So the fact that you're able to say from your experience that you feel that you're receiving support and you have a toolkit now.
Yes.
Talk about that in a little bit, how essential it is to have a healing toolkit that you can turn to be able to have your own back in the face of challenges, decision making, opportunities, and just being who you are at your own core.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, the program that you have been in is called Self Healing Journey, which is a one-on-one coaching program. And we have covered many tools, but the first thing that we really dive into is your inner voice and to be
Yes.
able to not only connect with it, but to lead with it and see how that trickles into your life. So you're not just having a conversation with your inner voice and then leaving it at that. You're taking action from that standpoint in many different aspects of your life. May it be your career, your relationships, your hobbies, anything, your daily life, right? So, what has it been like to rediscover your inner voice? And how has your inner voice been so vital to your healing and how you express yourself?
Ooh, great question. So, as I touched upon earlier, when I started this journey just from the masterclass, it really opened my eyes to distinguishing that there were two voices to begin with, and that my intuition had really been lost for a very long time, like years of time.
Mm,
So it took a lot of work to rediscover that voice and connect with it because for so long it felt so foreign to me to be able to listen to that voice that was amazing, good, giving me positive affirmations for what I was doing, and just kind of reinforcing when something felt aligned versus not.
mhm,
Just because for so long I just was listening to the voices around me, whether it be other people's opinions, people that I work with telling me how to treat a patient,
mm,
um, getting just a lot of different conflicting messages from voices around me that made it confusing and really further enlarge the voice of the ego in my head.
yeah.
So that was really the beginning for me when we started this journey was just trying to connect with that voice of intuition again, which took a lot of practice, it took a lot of work,
Mhm,
and it took a lot of patience to do that because it just was so foreign. So yes, once I rediscovered my intuition, it really became such an important voice for me as I started my healing journey and even just moving through really challenging experiences recently, being able to strengthen that voice really gave me the courage to show up to things as my most authentic self
mm,
and to really just stay true to myself in those moments. Whereas maybe in the past, I might have acted in a certain way or said something that wasn't aligned with my intuition, but might have just been something I said to please other people
yeah.
or just to try to diffuse a situation so that we don't get into an argument or um, keep the peace, basically. So this has been a really new experience, but it's been really rewarding for a number of reasons. But number one, to have a healthy voice inside your head that, as you move through your day, will always have your back has completely changed my life in so many ways. I just feel so aligned with myself and my body now.
Mm,
And to give someone an example of what that might feel like, if you're really stressed out and your body is just feeling really anxious, your heart is pounding, your head is spinning constantly. That was kind of what I felt like on a daily basis as I was going through different experiences that were really stressful. But even after those experiences kind of dissipated, this lingering feeling of anxiety and stress just kind of lingered on. And you can learn how to live with it for sure. There's lots of different tools that you can use to live with that. But for me, I just knew that it wasn't going to be sustainable for the rest of my life.
yeah.
And that's why when we connected, um, this was a new concept for me to listen to your intuition. I really wasn't familiar with it at all. And as I've learned how to connect with that voice more, the resulting physical effects on my body have been a lot more peace, a
Mm,
sense of calm, a sense of belonging to myself. I don't feel like my body in a way feels foreign to me anymore. I feel very connected to myself and to um, just my life in general a lot more now that I've been strengthening my intuition. And the resulting effects of that have been really trickled down into the rest of my relationships with people. I think that I show up more present with people. I'm a better listener. I'm a better friend. I'm a better provider to my patients. And it's all because I have learned how to listen to myself and what I need now, and have used that to show up in different circumstances as as the most aligned version of myself with my intuition.
I feel like doing a happy dance. You have
Oh,
no idea how proud I am and just how happy I am for you that you are able to come to this point because this is what I want for my clients, my loved ones, like I could talk about ego versus intuition for days. I love this
yeah.
topic, So hearing from your experience that not only are you feeling at peace with yourself and especially with your relationship with your body, which I think many of us can relate to, right? Like at
Mhm.
some point in time, we've all had some form of judgment towards our bodies. And the
Mhm.
fact that you can say that you feel a deeper connection with your body, that's huge, right? Because now you can nurture that and you can really look at your self-reflection and say, "Hey, I got you. Like I love you." And we may be a work in progress, but we are in this together. It's not you versus your body anymore.
Right. And that was so huge. I mean, I, and this came up a lot during our coaching sessions because it was something I think I had repressed for a long time.
Mhm.
But something that I just have loved about this journey, aside from just the journey of self-love that has happened for me along the way, is just that deeper understanding of what it means to be aligned with your soul in like the spiritual sense, but also physically with your body here, which I honestly I didn't even know was going to be a goal of mine until we started this journey of like deepening that relationship of self-acceptance.
Yeah.
And it's just been really amazing so far, especially because as a South Asian American, I think that sense of belonging can be really difficult just because you're stuck between two cultures, you
Yeah.
know, the American culture, and for me, my family's from India, that Indian culture where sometimes there's lots of conflicting messages about how you're supposed to be and what are you supposed to look like and how are you supposed to act. And growing up between two spaces, it's very confusing as you're trying to navigate both.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we internalize a lot of messages as we move through both spaces of culture that it can be something that you don't even realize is confusing you
Hmm.
until you have that self-awareness to look at what exactly it is that you're absorbing and how it's affecting your life. And so this has just been so eye-opening to start having that self-awareness, and it's going to forever change the course of my life from here on out.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And you've covered so much, right? You shared how it's trickled into your relationships, both personal and professional. And
Mhm.
you're able to show up more, not only for yourself, but also your loved ones. And I think
Yes.
that can really speak to our listeners because I know a lot of the listeners that have reached out to me have expressed that, they want to have better relationships or they want to heal their relationships. And it starts with the relationship that you have with yourself. And I know it's annoying to hear that because you want a quicker, easier fix. But when you can turn that lens towards yourself and check in with yourself and see what the dialogue is unfolding within you, and how you perceive life, right? Like there's so much conditioning that we go through society and the
Yeah,
people around us, and it can really impact how we show up to life, you know?
100%. Yeah, completely. And I think it's something that um, it can be so oblivious as you're going through your day of like what things are actually affecting you. It can be kind of scary to confront it, but once you do and you accept what it is that you're listening to in terms of the messages, then you can decide what is it that I actually want to be. And it's really difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's really hard to navigate all of those things, but it's so worth it and rewarding once you're able to start that journey of healing.
Absolutely. And I understand, right? Like healing is not linear and
Yeah.
it does take effort. It does take a certain level of commitment to show up for yourself time and time again. And to be able to use your voice and speak up for yourself in the face of disagreements or misunderstandings, that takes a certain level of courage. And like you said, when you can practice that self-acceptance, you don't feel like you're doing something wrong, that you have to please the other person. You know that you have something to say, and you have this deep conviction in your expression, in what you have to say.
Yes. And as you're saying that, it's something I'm reflecting on is just recent experiences where I've had to really use my voice to speak up for myself and stand my ground. It has been really challenging to really stay grounded in my inner voice and to just give yourself that reminder that even though it's been years of conditioning to be a certain way, this these things that I've been listening to don't serve me anymore. And in order to feel committed to myself, I needed to really just listen to that inner voice.
Mhm.
And in certain challenging situations, even though it was terrifying, I really had to listen to that and act on it. And there was just a conviction within myself that I couldn't stay quiet anymore. And so, for anyone listening out there that is scared to take a first step, I fully recommend just doing it. Say what's on your mind, listen to your inner voice, and in those challenging situations, stay true to yourself. And everything that comes after that is only for the best. Um, and it really just comes from within. So I fully think that everyone should at least do that and stay aligned with themselves and see what happens.
Absolutely. I think this is something that a lot of our listeners would benefit from hearing because it feels like the safe thing to just dim your light, not speak up for yourself because you don't want to cause any kind of conflict or misunderstanding. It's uncomfortable. But when you can express yourself, you're showing your most true self to yourself and your community. And
100%.
you're not going to feel like you're in misalignment with yourself where you're living a split life.
Yes. Because that only is going to bring confusion. You're going to feel like you're in constant battle with yourself, and it just doesn't feel good. Like you can't really enjoy what life has to offer when you're split between two spaces of conflicting worlds. So the more that you're able to ground yourself in your intuition and your inner voice, the easier that it gets, but also that in itself gives you the courage to really stay true to yourself and your goals, your vision, and everything just kind of naturally unfolds from there.
Absolutely. And to dig a little bit deeper on the healing toolkit that we mentioned earlier. So, the coaching program Self Healing Journey supports you with learning a new healing toolkit that you can now turn to whenever and wherever.
Yes.
And it's filled with different tools and techniques to help you with your mental, emotional, and spiritual growth. So, along with your intuition, what are some other tools that have supported you so far since we're halfway through the program now?
Wow. Okay. So really everything you've taught me, I've used multiple times on this journey, and I pretty much use all of them. But overall, I would say a lot of the tools that we have learned that have been really beneficial have been the ones that really connect me to the present moment. Because I think for me, a lot of times, and one of the reasons why I even started this program, I get into cycles of thought that can get very cyclical. I can ruminate a lot on different situations, whether it be past or future. And it causes a lot of worry, stress, anxiety, because I'm constantly thinking about what's going to happen. And so a lot of the things that you have taught me to just recenter myself to the present moment, I think have not only just been so helpful, but have also just changed how I'm able to go through my day with more intention.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been really amazing. So some of the things that I think have been the most helpful for me, um, the breathing techniques that we have learned, as well as doing meditation. I start my mornings now every morning doing 5 minutes of meditation. And it's very simple. Anyone can do this if you're interested. There's many YouTube videos out there. Just put in your time requirement and you'll find a video.
Yeah.
But even just taking a couple minutes of your day to really just check in with yourself in those moments, and just learn how to breathe and bring yourself to the present, it is really life changing in so many ways. For me, the most amazing thing that has come out of this practice that I now do on a daily basis has been to set an intention for myself on how do I want to move through my day. And sometimes that can be like, I just want to move through my day having fun. Or it can be like, today I really want to just appreciate my body, and what it has to give for me today. Or it could be something like, I really want to show up in my friendship with this person today when I have a conversation with them. But having some kind of intention or focus when you start your day, at least for me, has been so much more fulfilling. Um, and it's also just brought a lot of calm because it helps me to not worry about things as much, and it helps me show up to whatever goal I set for the day more fully and authentically as myself. So those things have been really helpful for me, but also just learning more about the voices, whether it be ego, intuition, or we talked a lot about this in the very beginning of the program of the different, what's it called? I'm forgetting the, I'm forgetting this. It's
Okay.
we learned it like the third lesson or something, but
Oh, the storyboard technique?
the storyboard technique. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Um, the storyboard technique, and just being able to identify a lot of the distinctions of what is societal conditioning versus what is something that's a true value that you embody. Those
Right.
have been really helpful for me to just move through this experience.
Yeah.
Um, so those are just a few, but everything that we have learned has been incredibly helpful, but also just so fulfilling, even just learning the tools to begin with. So
I
thank
love
you.
it. Yeah, of course. Of course. A lot of heart and soul has gone into that program. So when I get to hear from clients like you that you're not only learning, but you're integrating the practices into your life, that just lights me up because it's like, okay, you're able to experience the healing, right? And like you said, 5 minutes of meditation in the morning or practicing breath work or setting an intention. These are things that are not uncommon, but when
Mhm.
you can have that space to just like focus on it a little bit more and bring your
Mhm.
attention to these healing modalities and then integrate it into your life, it really causes a ripple effect in how you feel and how you show up to your days. And that compounds.
It totally compounds. Like it has the way that I start my mornings now fully affects how I show up to everything, whether it's how I treat my patients for that day, how I interact with a lot of my peers, my friends, my family. It has changed everything. And as well, how I show up for myself in those moments, because it really does strengthen the relationship that I have with myself. And that, like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, truly is the basis for everything, because your relationship with yourself is something you have to live with 24/7 every single day. So
Yeah.
that is number one for me. And it's interesting because, as South Asian women, especially, it's something that we are not really taught to listen to that voice. It's
Mhm.
always in the background as something, you put everyone and everything first besides yourself is
Yeah.
really like the message as I was growing up. So to now just be in a space where I can accept myself and put myself first. It feels a little foreign, especially when I first started this, but the more that I do it, the more I realize, the more that I strengthen my relationship with myself and fill my cup first, really has improved everything else around me, especially my relationships with everyone around me. And
Yeah.
so I wish and I hope that more people can really absorb that message that it's really important to take care of yourself,
Mhm.
and it will further just solidify everything else in your life to come after that.
Absolutely. And it's understandable, right? Because we've experienced being raised, being told that think about others first. They come
Yeah.
before you. So the idea or the concept of saying, "Hey, you come first," it's like, "Oh my God," like that makes me like feel triggered in some kind of way.
Yes.
It feels uncomfortable to even consider that. It feels too bold and audacious. But when you can consider for a moment that actually, when you put yourself first and you fill your own cup, it's actually in service of other people too, because now you're able to show up in a way that you're your highest self.
Yes.
Whereas
Yeah.
before, because you're compromising, you're not fully being true to yourself. So the way you're showing up to your own relationship and the others in your communities, it's not going to be fully you. You're not
Yeah.
coming up forward in a way that you're able to even give to others and support others. So, actually, if you want to prioritize your other relationships and take care of your loved ones, then focus on yourself first.
100%. I couldn't have said it better.
So, talking about the relationship with yourself, you and I have really focused on self confidence and self worth as well in different aspects of life. So, given that you have been able to heal that aspect of your life when it comes to self confidence and self worth, how would you say you perceive yourself today?
Wow. Okay. So it has been such a journey to work on my self-confidence and self-worth. Um, Especially because I think I had this notion before I started this journey that I was really self-confident. And in certain areas of my life, that probably was true. Like, I definitely can be really adventurous and, just embrace different things without feeling any fear about it. But I think deep down, when I started this journey, I fully realized and was self-aware to how low my self-confidence and self-worth had gotten because my ego had really taken over my life.
Mm,
And so it was an interesting journey when we started to first make that awareness, and second, learn how to get back to a place where I felt really good about myself and improve my self-worth, as well as improve my self-confidence, especially because I think when I started, I was like, well, I don't really have fear about this. I can like be really confident in these situations. And I don't know if that's necessarily something that I need to work on, but as I've gone through this journey more, it's something I've been more aware to that actually it needed some work.
mm,
um, and so now it's only been about 3 months,
yeah.
and it has been daily practice of trying to, I guess, reprogram in a way the voice in my head of the positive affirmations, reminding myself of my self worth. It's not something that's easy. There's definitely days that can be really difficult. But it's that commitment that I have to myself now that I didn't have before, that this is something that I want to improve upon for the rest of my life. And so just reminding myself of that intention has been everything, and it's changed everything for me. I think in the 3 months that we've started this journey, today I feel so much more aligned with myself. I feel like I can actually move through the day feeling really good about myself. My confidence has gone up dramatically, and it's only been the beginning.
Yeah.
And that really has come from a lot of the work that we have done together on my self-worth and also just that time is it's going to take time and patience to do it, but as long as you stay committed and have the support system in place to be able to work on it, I think has been amazing. So today I can say that I feel like my self-confidence and self-worth have just been the highest it's been in a long time, and
Wow.
I've never felt better. And that has trickled down into a lot of my relationships as well. And um, my friends and I have been trying like all these new things, and it's really that leap of faith to do this program that now I'm trying like hip hop, which I never would have maybe done like a couple
Yes.
of years ago, and belly dance or like, all these different things just to experience like what life has to offer and have fun. And maybe a few years ago, that was just something I never would have considered. I would have told myself like, no, you can't do that, or no, like it's going to look weird if your body moves in this way. And now I'm just like, I don't really care. I want to do something that's fun.
Yeah.
And it feels good to embrace those activities coming from a place of feeling like I can do anything. And that really comes from working on your self-worth and your self-confidence.
Amazing. Amazing. And I want this for everybody. The fact that you're able to experience this and 3 months, you've shown up though, right? Like talking about
Yes.
commitment, like you have done the work in these 3 months to
Yeah,
get to this point, you know? And if people can just realize that committing to something like this, a 6 month journey, in the big picture, if it could affect or impact you in such a positive way and the different aspects of your life, then it's so worth it, you
it's
know?
so worth it. It's completely worth it. I think we spend, and before we started this program together, I thought about this a lot of just how much time and money I have spent, and not to diss my education, but I
Yeah.
have spent a lot of time and money on my education to get to where I am today. And and it was fully worth it, right? But there's so many things that are life skills that are not taught in
Mm,
our education system that I think everyone needs to learn is just how to support themselves, because life is going to be full of ups and downs.
yeah.
Nothing is ever going to be linear. Things are going to happen unexpectedly. And it's just a part of life, and learning how to navigate those challenging situations and feel like you can move through them and not lose yourself in those moments is something that I think everyone should have the opportunity to learn. And so that has really changed everything for me in these 3 months. Is It's just the beginning of learning these tools that are going to help me just go through life now feeling more aligned, but also more prepared for being able to face unexpected challenges and situations, and know that I can rely on myself now to move through these things and have my own back. So that's
Yeah.
been amazing.
I really feel empowered just hearing you share your story because, of course, working with you, I know you very well now, but it's been so fun to get to see and witness your journey because you've gone through a lot, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to hear you say this, that you feel like you won't lose yourself and you have your own back, that just shows that you do trust yourself. And I've, really done I guess you could say, research to better understand what a lot of people are struggling with. And it does come down to, do you trust yourself to be able to have your own back in the face of life? And
Mhm.
you have shared in our coaching sessions that you really feel like you have your own back and you can trust yourself. So I'd love to hear more from you, why you think it's important to be able to trust yourself and how that can impact the relationship with yourself and how you show up to the world.
Oh, that's an amazing question. And it's so important to have that trust in yourself. And I can't even really explain the enormity of how important it is, because it really does affect everything you do. And when I was going through some really challenging experiences, I completely lost trust in my sense of judgment as I moved through a relationship that really confused me with the way that it ended. And it really made me look at like, what are the decisions that I'm making and are they serving me? I really lost sight of the trust that I had within myself because I thought I was making decisions that really were in my best interest. And then when things kind of played out the way that they did, I was like, was that even real? I don't know what's real and what's not real anymore. It really messed with my sense of trust with myself. And it led me down the cycle of not really understanding how to move through the world because I didn't know how to trust myself anymore. And just that one thing trickled down to everything else. I didn't know how to show up to my job anymore in a way that felt fulfilling. I didn't know how to show up in my relationships with my really close friends when they needed me to be a support system for them. I just didn't know how to be myself. And it's a really scary place to be
Yeah.
when like you don't recognize who you are anymore. You don't know how to get out of that place. You feel stuck in feeling like uncertainty and uncomfortable with just being in your body because you don't know how to trust yourself.
Mhm.
So once you take that first step to really start learning how to trust yourself, everything really changes from there. And it starts with small steps. Something as small as like, what do I want to eat for lunch today? And actually following through and making what you said you were going to make for me. Like one example is like I said that I was going to start eating more fruits during
Yeah.
this year and just choosing like, okay, today I'm going to commit myself to eating an orange. Something
Mhm.
as small as that, but staying consistent with what your word is for yourself is one small step that you can take. And the more that you do, the more consistent you are with just those little things, with commitments that you make, with whether it be friends or to yourself, they slowly build up over time.
Mhm.
And it's a journey for sure, but the more you practice, the more the trust comes back to yourself when you stay consistent and loyal to what you set out to do. And that once you have that self trust back, it's like you become unstoppable again. You can
Mhm.
remember who you are and you can feel more confident in how you show up in the world. So it's so important to just maintain that. And it's really hard to do, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It also takes a lot of dedication and just conscious, intentional commitment to doing it. But once you start that journey, it really does make a huge difference.
Oh man, I am so moved by this conversation because I agree, it makes so much sense what you're saying. And what it comes down to is being in integrity with your word,
Yeah,
right?
but yeah,
Like,
100%.
yeah, the words that you're speaking, are you actually following through with it? You
Hmm.
can say something, but are you following through is the question.
And
And
there's so many, sorry to interrupt.
no, 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 go ahead.
There's so many parts of your day where you're like, oh yeah, I want to do that, or I'll call that person or whatever, which is so easy to say, but when you actually start paying attention to what is it that you're just saying just to say versus what are you saying to do
Mhm.
intentionally and following through with it, you can start having that self-awareness of what is it that I'm integrity with and what are the things that I'm doing that I'm not in integrity with myself
Right. Right.
and identifying those values of, I've decided now that I want to show up to the world in this way, and these are my values, and this is how I'm going to stick to them. Has just been amazing to have that. So it's been something that improves your self trust with yourself. But I keep saying this, I feel like a million times that it trickles down to everything else with
Yeah.
your relationships and your professional life, everything.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's so helpful for our listeners to hear everything you have been able to access within yourself because it's not like these healing modalities are things outside of you. It's all within.
It's all within
Yeah.
100%.
And when
Yeah.
you can have that support system to access it, integrate it, experience it, life becomes so magical in different ways. And it's really fun in a way.
It's really fun. I
Yeah.
mean, I will say this sounds very heavy work. It is really fun. It's really fun
Yeah.
to do the self-development. And also just to like start building a support system of people that connect with the work that we're doing. I've met so many people through you now that are we have a shared language of everything that we've learned. And it's just incredible to now have that community where I can feel like I can talk to several different people that have gone through the same experiences and have the support of people that understand what we've gone through during
Yeah.
this journey and continue to like stay accountable with our goals. That's also been really incredible.
Absolutely. Because when you have people that have gone through similar journeys as you and know what it's like to heal, then you automatically share a connection with each other. And I can totally relate because I did not know what life coaching was. And my mom told me about it, that my mom and my brother are considering it. So it just became a family bonding experience to
I
go
love
for
that so
life
much.
coaching for the weekend. And I did not want to experience FOMO. So I was like, count me in. And little did I know that I would become a life coach because of it, because there's just so much value and it truly does feel magical. Like it just feels like you're
Yeah.
on cloud nine.
I agree. Like it's been amazing. And it's also just so nice that first of all, I love that you did that with your family. That's
Yeah.
incredible that you all did that together. But also it is amazing like just every time I show up to my sessions with you first of all, I love talking to you in general because I feel like I could just talk to you forever.
Aw.
But just always have like somebody that has your back and is supportive of your goals.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna forever change everything for me because now I understand what that relationship feels like
Mhm.
and what that's supposed to be. And so it makes me want to embody that feeling in the way that I show up for the people around me as well. So just even that relationship on its own it's just life changing.
Yeah. And I feel like you kind of answered my next question for you, but I might
Oh,
as well just ask. For anyone that's listening that may feel like they're on the edge about exploring spiritual life coaching, given your lived experiences and transformations, what would you say to them to feel encouraged to take that leap of faith?
oh wow. Okay. So what I would say is if you're thinking about it, try it and see what happens because you're going to be so surprised at the journey that's about to unfold for you. Um, it can be something, it's for me, it's been a journey I never really expected to turn out this way for the best. Like, I'm so happy that I did this. It's not only been transformative for my life, but it's brought to awareness to me just so many different other areas of my life of um, like things that I just didn't know that I was holding on to. Lots of different other problem areas where I just didn't even realize were problems that I now have the self-awareness to start working on. And it's
Mhm.
all because of this leap of faith that I just wanted to try this and see what happens. So I would say yes to yourself and start this journey of self discovery. And it's only going to get better from here because you're going to learn tools that will carry you through lots of different challenging areas of your life. And that is something no one will ever be able to take away from you. So say
So
yes to
true.
yourself and see what happens and enjoy the journey along the way.
Yeah, I feel like you're like the biggest cheerleader, just
Yes, I
getting
am.
people to take action.
Yes, because I mean, I keep saying this over and over, I think, but it really has changed my life for the better. And I also just want people to feel that way as well. Like your work has been so important to me, and it's just been something that I want everyone to be able to experience as well. So I just really hope that people are able to take that leap of faith and see what happens for them. You know, life can only get better if you choose to want better for yourself. So,
Yeah, very
um,
true. And it's
well,
only been an honor and a pleasure to do this work with you. So that's
oh,
why I was so excited to have you on the podcast, just to share everything that has unfolded for you and that to a short period of time, you know?
yeah, I mean, I can't even believe that it's only been a few months. And I
Yeah.
think I've told you this recently. I never thought I would be where I am now, like 3 months ago. I was in
Yeah.
such a different place in life. And it's all because of that small step where I just said, I want to commit to this and see what
Yeah.
happens. And
Yeah.
that's really all it took. I mean, just being able to say yes to yourself, it's something that sometimes you can feel like I don't deserve to, or I don't know if this is something that I should do.
Hmm.
There's so many different negative voices around that are there that will discourage you. But if you listen to that inner voice, your inner bestie, your intuition,
Yeah.
and just decide to bet on yourself, it can really change everything for you. And so I am just so happy to be here and experience this and see what happens from here. It's just halfway at this point.
Yeah, I have the biggest smile on my face, and I feel like you have many ways that you stay true to you, but we'd love to hear in your words, how do you stay true to you?
Oh my gosh. So this is going to be super cheesy, but it's really it's really true. Honestly, it's my chai ritual every morning.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
so I work in anesthesia. I wake up really early every morning so that I can make it to surgery at like 6 a.m. But the one thing I commit myself to every morning, along with my short meditation, is this morning ritual of making fresh chai. Um, and I use a lot of fresh ingredients and like lots of different spices and flavors just to make it something I can really savor in the morning. And it helps me stay not only just grounded to myself because it's a ritual that I've been doing since I was in college. I make it every morning. And so it's a ritual that reminds me of who I am because I mean, I'm a big chai lover to begin with, but on a more like broader level, it keeps me grounded to my roots
Mhm.
in just such a unique and simple way. It reminds me of who I am and how to give myself that sense of belonging in the world. Even though that's just such a small ritual, but truly, like that truly is something that helps me stay grounded. And not only just that, but I'm so proud of my heritage. Like just having that taste of those different flavors,
Yeah.
um, it helps me to stay just so proud of my culture, especially in the mornings. And it literally fills my soul with PR. So
Yeah.
I have this cup. It says pour PR into everything on the side. And so that's just another way that I'm able to remind myself of my intentions for the day and how I want to show up in the world. Um, my morning chai literally is everything to me. So
Yeah.
um, I hope that inspires people also to like create your ordinary rituals and make them extraordinary because
Yeah.
that's what it's been for me.
And for our listeners who don't know what BR means, it means love. So
Yeah.
I love that. I saw
Yeah.
the cup and it's so aesthetically pleasing with its little gold spoon. So I love it.
It's amazing. I mean, I have not had this cup for very long, but it has changed like my entire morning because I can sometimes not be fully awake in the morning, but I'll read that message, pour PR into everything. And it's such a good reminder of how I want to move through my day, pouring
Yeah.
PR into everything that I do, whether it's how I want to take care of my patients or how I want to treat my friends and family that day, how I want to treat myself. And that comes from that focus of deciding to choose yourself and that check in of like, what are my needs today? How do I want to show up today? It helps me stay present in the moment. And it really is like the best way to start the day, aside from the fact that it tastes amazing. But it's honestly everything for me. And I have no shame in saying that chai is like my one true love.
I love it. I did not know what you were going to say. And it's so interesting whenever I ask my guests the specific question because everyone has different feedback, insights, and This is very unique that you have a chai ritual that helps you to stay true to you. So, as a chai lover myself, I'm so here for it.
I love it so much. Yeah, thank you. My friends are going to be like, really?
Well, it gives us a taste of your world, and I'm so here
That's
for
cute.
it. But I wanted to thank you, Bianca. This has been a very wholesome conversation and very vulnerable too. You really opened up about so much of your journey, and I'm sure our listeners are feeling moved to show up for themselves and, like you said, say yes to themselves too.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy we got to do this. And I hope that my story inspires someone to take that leap of faith and say yes to themselves. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Bianca.
Thank you.